Vintage Don here, puttering around in the shop. My replacement bearings have not yet come for the center main that had the undrilled block side, and of course the new connecting rod bearings that are 40 under instead of the 20 under they sent me by mistake. And so in an effort to move forward a little bit, I've set up my dial indicator here very carefully. Nothing's touching. It's just so reasonably square, right angles and so forth. I've torqued down the crank using the one bearing in the middle there that doesn't have a hole. It has no effect on how it's going to torque down, of course. We've got Vaseline on the bearings. And playing with the in-play, and it brings up the old in-play enigma. I've got this thing set where we are at 0. There are no shims. The shims for this, if you're not intimately familiar, go between this darker thrust washer and the white looking material you see is actually the lip of the main bearing. And in between there is the gap you're wanting to measure, and that's where the shims go. And those shims kind of counterintuitively actually make the in-play greater. So if you're tight, you can add shims to loosen things up. So the way this thing sets, brace it up here with my feet, and we get about I'm getting a high 6.5, not quite 7,000th. And that's repeatable. There's 0. There's my, let's call it 7. It's almost 7 thousandths. 0, 7, 0, 7. It's consistent and repeatable. The enigma comes in that the spec is 4 to 6 thousandths. There is no provision that I have ever found to decrease the in-play. I don't know how a person would go about making that 7 thousandths drop down to be truly in spec, which would be 1/1000th tighter. Obviously, this block, this engine has been rebuilt several times. That's not the crankshaft that was born in there. That's a World War II era crankshaft without the counterweight add-ons in a 1948 block casting. It's even got the script F bolts, the Ford bolts from the GPW, which are identical, of course, holding the main cap on in the center, and so forth. So it's a salad of an engine, which that's fine. All the parts are totally interchangeable. But I've never heard of a way to decrease that in-play, and I suspect there is not one, short of welding and remachining things, which would be crazy. I'm only 1/1000th, not even a full thousandth above the high side. So I'm not going to do anything about it, but it's one of those peculiar things in Willys' world. Vintage Don, out.